for watching AquariumTech today. Today I was going to do the part 4 water change video. If you guys remember that sump video, I said I was going to show you how I do my water changes on this. Now, I'm sure some might think this is self-explanatory, and it kind of is, but just in case anybody was looking into that setup and wanted to know how to do a water change, I figured I'd do it. And a lot of people find the other water change vids helpful, so I figured I'd go ahead and make mine. But anyways, you know, I have my sump here, and there's two things you're going to need other than your sump. And remember, you know, also you'll need like the main pump, or the pond pump is what I called it. And then this is, you know, where it comes in handy most. But anyways, the other things you need is some tubing to run from the main pump or the pond pump in your sump. This is basically to deliver water back to your tanks. You don't have to do it this way. This is the way I do it. But all I did was now this is super cheap hosing. This is super cheap. You know, I really shouldn't have got this cheap shit because it kinks up really easily. But if you have a powerful pump and you basically, like, eventually it'll just shoot past the kinks. And I do recommend that. But you know, mine isn't. I found my pump in the garage, for God's sake. So, but anyways, what you'll need is you'll just need some kind of hook on the end here for your, you know, to go into the pump. I just took it down to the fish store and figured out which one I needed. So now this stuff I got from Lowe's, so you know it's going to be more expensive from a fish store or even some of the smaller hardware stores. And this is really long because it's actually a little longer than it needs to be, but it's so I can reach all my tanks with these and all that good stuff. So you'll need one of these, and also I also recommend a clip for this end that goes into the tank. You can get clips with like other water changing kits, or even just make your own so it clips onto the tank easier. I really don't. I mean, I have one, but I don't really use it too much. I actually just use the hoods or something, and it just usually keeps it in place. But depending on how you run yours, it might not. Sometimes what it's good to do is, like, if your tank's next to something, have the hose run over it, so that way it's not drooping way down if your tank's like up, so that way, you know, you can use weight from like your light or your hood or something to hold it up easier. I won't get into that right now. And then anyways, you'll also need your Python type water changer. Well, actually you don't need one. You can still use the old way if you want, which, you know, you'll have to be delivering buckets outside. But this is the way I do it, and this one's the Aquarium one. And from the last water changing set of water changing videos, you guys will know that this is probably one of the few products I would actually recommend from Aquarium. So anyways, I'll show you in a second here. I'll set it all up and show you how it goes. So anyways, now I have it set up. There's the fill line running for the tanks, and over here is the Python line or whatever. So going, and just a tip, because at least because of the way I do it, you know, I'll drain a bunch of the tanks first, and then I'll fill some of them back up, and then I'll drain more tanks, and then fill them back up. You know, I don't just do it one at a time, because that'll save you from having to go back and forth, back and forth. Now, they might make, you know, like, remote control light switches or water spigots. They might, I don't know. I think I saw one, but, you know, just to save yourself from that, you know, I just, you know, I'll do, like, at least 3 or 4 tanks at a time, drain them, and then fill them back up. So with that being said, you know, when you're done, the last thing you're going to be doing is filling the last tank back up. So I run this line first, because both the lines are going to take the same path, you know, usually throughout the house. So what I do is I run this one first, and then I run the Python line, because while the other last tank's filling up, I might just pick up the Python line, you know, and put it back up. So there's a tip. Also, as you notice, these lines are a bitch to deal with, especially this one, because this one's really cheap vinyl stuff. So it kinks a lot, and I mentioned that just a minute ago. But now this, you know, there's not really much you can do about it except for, like I said, run water pressure through it. Now, this Aquarium stuff, on the other hand, this is actually a nice tube, and it didn't start fucking kinking up on me and looping up on me until a few months ago, and I've had it for, you know, like this one at least 2 years. So you know, it's a lot thicker hosing, so it took a while to happen, but now it happens, because when you're sucking water out if the thing's not actually in water and you have it already sucking. You know, it flattens the hose out, and then it does this. So what I do is, when I'm not using it, as you can see here, it's quite a stiff or flexible hose because I have water in it right now. What I do is, while I'm waiting to use it, I close off both valves. As you can see, that one's closed off. I don't think I closed it all the way, but and I just run water through, and it pressurizes it back up. So it helps keep it from getting flat, you know, when you do it in long times like this. And so when I start to suck water for the next time, you know, when I start sucking water, it'll you know, it won't go flat immediately, so it'll have some time so to take care of that. But really the biggest problem I have with doing it this way is these damn pipe, or whatever I just call them, the tubes. Yeah, they are quite a bitch to deal with, admittedly, but it's the best way to get a bunch of tanks done and a lot of water. So anyways, we'll go ahead and start doing the water change and see how that goes. Now I have my I actually already have the water going for the outtake, so we'll go ahead and start here and just show you how I do this. Also, by the way, since we're just sitting here, one thing I wanted to mention is, like I said, I pressurize my Aquarium hose when I'm not using it and stuff. Now, I don't leave it on there when I'm not, like, you know, when I don't plan on using it. You know, I just kind of close off both valves and fill it with water, and then whatever leaks out, leaks out. But you know, right before I do my water changes, I go ahead and pressurize it. And when I let the water out, I kind of do it slowly, because otherwise sometimes you might get like a little anti-siphon effect kind of thing going, where it just shrinks right back down from the pressure of the water escaping out of it. So another thing I wanted to mention is I keep my hose that I put water back in the tank, I keep that hose inside, and I keep this hose outside. You know, I would recommend keeping your whatever you use to bring water back to your tanks inside, you know, for obvious reasons. But, you know, you can technically use the same hose you use to intake, you know, use both hoses or use one hose to do both things. You know, you don't have to do it the way I do, but of course just make sure you drain this hose out completely before you use it to input water into any tank, and make sure, you know, you don't put tap water straight back into your tank. Make sure if you're going to use a hose like this, that, you know, you hook it up into your sump or something. You know, never put, I have to reiterate this all the time, never put, you know, tap water straight in your tank. Let it either water condition or make sure it's RODI water. So anyways, I'll go ahead and just be sucking this stuff out, and I'll be back with you when I switch to the next tank. Okay, right now I'm actually switching tanks. I close the valve, and I just switch over here. Oh, I'll move the camera up. And I just switch over to this tank, and I just do it. It's that simple. And then, of course, I do this over and over again. I usually only do like 3 or 4 tanks at a time. So, you know, they don't have to be away from full water too long. But, you know, like I said, you can do it whichever way you want. You know, there's a lot of right ways to do this. So, anyways, I think you get the drift here. Sorry, I forgot to tape me filling up some of my tanks there. So, my bad. Just kind of forgot. Trying to get this done. I do have other things to do today, but anyways, I think you get the point. You know, there wasn't much to it. I was just going to take that tube, and I was just going to put it in the tank and just let it fill up, and maybe use the hood or whatever's on top of it to try to keep it in, or even using the mag floats. That works a little bit, or some kind of positioning. One thing I did forget to mention is, because at least my sump happens to be outside, and even if yours was inside, it would probably vary with what's in the tank, but it's not going to be the same temperature. So what I like to do is, if you see, I drain multiple tanks at once. So when I go back to fill them up, what I'll do is, I'll fill one tank up a quarter of a way, then I'll go to the next tank, fill it up a quarter of a way, then I'll go to the third tank and fill it up a quarter of the way, then I'll come back to the first tank and fill it up another quarter. So that way, if there is a difference in temperature, which there is, it's actually very cold out right now, but my fish, for some reason, love it cold. You know, it's not going to send them in a temperature shock, because believe it or not, all it takes to send even, you know, your basic fish into, what I mean by basic is your most common fish, into temperature shock is 1 degree change per 24 hours. That's not much. Even the way I do it, there's probably more change than that. But, you know, I try to keep down on that, which is why I do it that way. And I would suggest you do it that way too. Alright? Well, I think that's about it for this video. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me a PM. Hope that helps. Thanks for tuning in.